We are publishing all Dr. Freud, and I glance at the proof and read how Mr. A.B. threw a bottle of red ink onto the sheets of his marriage bed to excuse his impotence to the housemaid, but threw it in the wrong place, which unhinged his wife's mind, and to this day she pours claret on the dinner table. We could all go on like that for hours, and yet these Germans thinks it proves something, besides their own gull-like imbecility. They're always condemned in like these kind of gustatory terms as bad diet. So Q.D. Leavis condemns her as detrimental diet. She's described as suet pudding to be sucked down by addicted female readers.
It's been a real delight to read your book. So one of the things I really appreciate is how it engages with long-standing debates about how modernist texts differed from the outside. The book turns to the scenes of reading within these texts themselves, as if the clues had been there all along. By reading these scenes alongside accounts of reading in psychoanalytic theory, you develop a rich and nuanced account of what it means to read modernist literature. Could you tell us a little bit about how this project came about?
Of course. Thank you, Bradley. Thank you for having me here today. And I can't thank you enough for reading my book so carefully. It's really amazing to be read. I mean, it's a book about reading. So, of course, I'm particularly thrilled that you've read it so carefully. But you've sent me some questions in advance. And it's an amazing thing to have somebody read your work and think about it and get it. And you've summarized it perfectly. So it's a book that came about. It's quite a boring answer in some ways. It came about because I did a PhD on it. This book, a physical copy of it here with a nice image by Virginia Woolf's sister, Vanessa Bell, of a girl reading. And this image really does encapsulate what the book does. It's a book that looks at scenes in literary texts where people are kind of immersed in books in this kind of way. And the PhD began as a project. It began through me thinking about why it is that so many modernist texts and avant-garde texts are so difficult to read. I was doing a PhD at Queen Mary, University of London, and for a long time I was interested in a kind of dilemma I felt about the existing critical debates about what it means to read modernist literature. So there's a very dominant critical account, the one it's articulated by a critic called John Carey in his book, The Intellectuals and the Masses. And he argues that modernism and other kinds of avant-garde forms of writing were difficult because they were trying to exclude certain kinds of readers. So his argument is, in response to late 19th century educational reforms and advances in mass publishing, a group of elitist writers set about writing really, really difficult texts because they didn't want ordinary people to read them. It's a kind of a knee-jerk reaction that a lot of people do have when they first encounter some of these kinds of difficult forms of writing. They feel like they are being shut out, and that perhaps this is a move on the part of the writers to exclude people. There are, I think, yes, some specific cases of modernist writers who were snobs or in some cases downright fascists